I know there's somebody right now who's sitting here saying to themselves, things ain't been the best. The world don't seem to care. And these are lies that we tell ourselves so we can feel better about a moment that we don't quite understand. But I want you to understand this, that while you may believe that, while you may feel that, there are so many people who care. There is somebody right now who just needs to see your smile, that needs to hear your laughter, that needs to see the life in your eyes. And I know there's somebody out there who's battling really hard and struggling every day, getting closer and closer to a decision that they're going to have someone else live with. I'm asking you to get help. 3 simple numbers, 988. It doesn't take a lot, doesn't take a whole lot of energy, it just takes you being willing to do something different. So before you make a decision that we have to live with, make a decision that you can live with and get help. Now let's punch in and talk football. Pride Nation, what up, dude? We back at it again with another video. I know you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title, and you can't believe that you're reading this, but you are. And the reason you're reading this is because I believe that there is a basis to any situation if you're going to be critical. And one of the things that I'm noticing is people are pushing topics for the purposes of clicks, not for the purposes of getting the truth out, but for the purposes of getting their algorithm to get their videos in rotation. And the media is doing the same thing with their articles, where they're just simply putting information out simply to get the click. That's all it is. If we can get the click, that's what it's about. So what I've decided to do is address this from a perspective that's being critical, but that's being fair. All right. And if we're going to be critical of something and fair, we have to do it in good faith and honesty. Can't make no BS up. Can't be out here just doing things because we want to. All right. So, all right. First things first, I want to make sure that we clear. I'm going to do some things today that's going to be a little different. It's going to go over a lot of people's heads, but I feel like this needs to be done because it's not being done appropriately. Before we get into all of that, let's talk about a simple thing that I've always done, which is shout out those who rock it with me. For my man, Nobody Kapler, which this man changed his name a few times, but he's the bad guy. He says, F that, I'm not defending Brad Holmes. I'm sorry, I don't. It's kids. If I'm not at my job, I'm not in the Lions. I ain't mad at you. Friendly neighborhood Lions fan, what up, though? Looney Tunes in the building, what up, though? We got my man, One Funky Lion fan, said the draft went almost like I thought it would. I got told over and over, there's no way we don't take an edge with the first or a first 3 picks. Oops. Good times. My favorite is hearing everyone complain. We got Barbarian Lions 01 who says, shout me out, Luke. What up, though? I'll be watching just not the new Lions, but new players we play with. Okay, I mean, that's all fair. Donkey Kong is in the building. We got Perry Ball in the building. We got Mikal Holt in the building. Crimson Shadow is in the building. We got Giovanni Lyons in the building. All right. My goal is to, hey, let me get my brother up in here. Let me get my brother from another mother in this mud. You know, the better version of me. My man Anthony from over there at Roar Lions UK. He says, what up, though, from your British twin? Hey, what's going on, twin? What up, though? All right, listen. This is gonna be real simple. I plan on doing about an hour to an hour and 20. That's my goal, and I'm gonna hit on this. What sparked me to do this was the overwhelming approach of articles that have just belittled me. And we're gonna start off with this one, okay? We're gonna start off with this one because not because it's the worst, not because it's something that how can I put it? Not because I believe that this is the end all. It's an overall arc to these types of articles, and their job is to show this information, which I fully understand and endorse. You want factual information out there about things, and that's what it is. But it says fans defend Detroit Lions draft after earning a F grade. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, let's hear it out, right? Because if you're going to say that their fans are defending something, what is the argument that they have to defend? And then I get into this article that just says things like, The Athletic recently used their own formula to grade draft haul based on positional value, trade value, and perceived reaches or steals. Utilizing a census big board, writer Austin Mock evaluates each team's pick relatively to their place on the big board and where they were selected. And this right here, opening part, just really let me know that this article was finna be some bullshit. This is literally what went out the door. Let me be clear. Nobody has been more critical of Brad Holmes than me. I've been that since day one. And my criticism has only been aimed at his approach or his lack thereof approach and fully addressing the defense to a level that would match that of the offense. That's been my issue. I've been clear about it. I've given many examples of this, and I've challenged people who've had others to say about it. But this problem with this whole entire article and the fact that the Athletic did this is they're basing this off of their big board. They're not basing this off of the Lions big board because they don't have the privilege to have information to that big board. They don't have the idea of it. The second part of it is they're doing it based off positional value, something that Brad Holmes has made very clear is not a thing. He has made it very clear. He don't know where this came from. He don't know why people would even do this. This is just stupid. So there's the other issue that I have with it. And then it's the trade values. To me, trade values only matter to the person who feels that they won or got a fair trade, right? Like, for example, it's not like we're playing Madden and I can just go on there and do some silly stuff like, I don't know, sign a receiver and send him to the Cleveland Browns for Myles Garrett, right? Like that doesn't make sense. Like, we can cheat him. There needs to be two people willing to feel good about doing the trade. And so when I saw that, I said, okay. Then it says perceived reaches or steals. And I said to myself, okay, what the hell is a reach? If everybody knew that Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady, he doesn't make it to the 6th round, right? And the list goes on from Allen, from Jared Allen to John Randall to a host of other players who was taken later who proved to be better than what they were. So as I'm sitting up here and I'm reading this article, they come out the gate and they says out of their 7 picks, 4 were considered reaches by our consensus board, including all 3 of the top 70s. And then I said to myself, okay, again, it's not, they don't share your big board. They don't have this viewpoint that you have as it pertains to how you view this. So if you want to give a F grade, okay, cool. You want to give the F grade and whatever, cool. Now I see why most Lions fans are defending it. Now, because the matrix that you're using to justify your grading system doesn't align with the reality nor the vision of the Lions. And so therefore, of course, you're going to be grading in a way that doesn't make sense because nobody knows what they were doing. Okay. So then it got me like, okay, let me just really pay attention. All right. Let me really pay attention and see what's really good, like what's really going on. Okay. And so I said to myself, did the Lions address any needs that the Lions had? Yeah. Yeah, they did. We needed a guard. They took a guard. 2, we needed defensive line help. Whether we agreed on it being a D tackle or not, which by my all accounts, I'm not drafting a run stuffing D tackle first. Sure, but did they need a D tackle? Yeah. Yeah, they did. Okay. So I'm like, all right, cool. And so I'm going further and reading this, and I'm thinking to myself, you said they took 3 reasons in the top 70. Okay, cool. They also lost quite a bit of value in the trade market, highlighted by their big move up for the board for wide receiver Tesla. If Tesla ends up being, Puka Nacua, or Tesla ends up being better than Puka Nacua, but in a solid contributor, which allows for Amon-Ra St. Brown to live his life fully in the slot with 2 outside threats with Jameson Williams, is it a reach? Is it a bad trade? I don't, it's like a lot of this is based off of the fact that you haven't seen him do anything. And I'll be the first to tell everybody I believe that Tesla is a project player. But again, they had to still manifest and turn that project into something else. Okay. It says they lost their 4th most value in trades during the draft, and the 3 teams below them either gained a first rounder or had a chance to draft Travis Hunter. Okay. And so when I see this, of course, Lions fans are going to take to the page. So I'm like, okay, how do we come to these conclusions where you're not pointing out the fact that at the very least, he still addressed needs, right? And no matter how much we don't like it, they were needs. If you want to argue about some things in the later end of the draft, fine. Like if you want to argue about those things, cool. But only ask yourself a question. Was it a need? Okay. Now, receiver in itself was not a need. So that in itself is a luxury pick. But again, what can make that pick means more if he performs well, right? And if he does, he does. If he don't, he don't. Now, I go through and then I see this article. And this is like all within a short span. Like I'm on my lunch break at work and I'm just like, yo, see, work last week got me good. They made sure that they got all their money on me last week because I couldn't talk about a lot of things I wanted to talk about. But this right here really had me sitting up to like, okay, so now we talking analytics, right? And like again, it's analytics. And I tell people this all the time. Take analytics with a grain of salt, okay? Because a lot of it is trying to be predictive and it can't. But okay. So it says in the consensus of the 24 NFL draft grades done by Rand Bugner, the Lions did not fare well with the team earning the 2nd lowest grade point average, which was tied with the Miami Dolphins and just 1 spot ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals. Among the grades used to compile that consensus, the Lions received 13 marks of C+ or worse. Now, it says with Thor Nordstrom of Fantasy Life given the lone F grade, while we now have another F grade coming from the Athletic Austin Mock. All right. So, again, I just want to see how we got here, right? And it says, it's fair to question whether I should doubt the Lions draft strategy after the run that they've been on the past few years. But out of their 7 picks, 4 were considered reaches by the consensus board, including this, right? So again, this is the Athletic and all these people trying to explain themselves. And then here it says the grades are not subjective. They're based on data and math. Our analyst's goal today is to put everything together, player value, positional value, before grading each NFL team's class. So now I'm like, okay, you're saying it's based on value, but how can you do that before they even take a snap on the field? It's one thing if we already played a few games and we see that they not using them or they trash or something like that, cool. I totally get it. But they haven't taken a snap. So if they haven't taken a snap, how is it that all of a sudden your analytics are factual? They're not subjective. They're 100% subjective. This entire thing is subjective. And the scary part is you're not looking at the fact that they still at the very least draft needs. So if the people gave them a C plus or a C, okay, fine. They had an average draft because the draft was essentially a draft that they used to maintain status quo. Okay, fine. Right? I judge the draft based on a number of things, right? For me, one, did we get day one starters in rounds 1, 2, and a contributor in 3? Well, in rounds 1 and 2, we got day one starters. Do I believe that the D tackle is going to start day one? No. But do I believe that the guards are going to start day one? Yes. So we got 1 out of the 2 day one starters. Did we get a contributor in the 3rd round, which is Tesla? Yeah. Is he going to contribute? Yeah. So from that regard, mission accomplished, right? And I can't begin to act like this don't make no sense. What up, though, Joe Lewis? What up, though, Ed W? What up, though, that fan man? Make sure I don't miss nobody. Mob Base, what's going on? Like we got to look at this a little bit differently. If you're going to be critical, don't be critical with a made up formula that nobody knows or has accepted as a universal truth. Right? Nobody knows this. So then he goes through and he shows the draft grades, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm like, all right, so Lions got an F, right? Saints got an F, and the Jacksonville Jaguars got an F. But the whole thing was Jacksonville got an extra first in next year's draft and still filled a lot of needs too. Like I looked at the grades and I just said, okay, this is all subjective. Because guess what's going to happen? When players start performing and other players don't, these are not going to be final grades. These are just your opinion based on what you know from college performance. But when they get into the pros and they're playing the games, it's going to be different. Now, we get to this thing where they say it's the biggest issue. It says the biggest issue we had with general manager Brad Holmes' draft was the lack of an edge rusher pick until the 6th round. But they still felt the need. We needed an edge rusher. They got one, right? They did. I thought we needed a linebacker, to be honest with you. I thought we should have went edge rusher, linebacker, guard. Or if you went edge rusher, guard, and then got linebacker in the 3rd, I'd have took that. But that's not me. I'm not drafting it. I'm just telling you what was available that I was still looking like we can still make this thing happen, and it would have still addressed the defense appropriately. For what I believe one of the biggest issues, which is our inability to stop mobile quarterbacks. Just simply go back and watch the Bills game if you don't believe me. I don't want to put you through too much torture with the Commanders game, but you certainly want to just watch the Bills game. And so it said the Lions definitely need more help at the position, both for the short and long term. And what the team has done thus far this offseason simply hasn't been good enough. Now, if you're going to argue about the offseason, great, but that's not what you're saying. You're talking about the draft. And I'll be the first to tell you that our offseason is absolutely dog poop. I don't think that our offseason was anything of special that we need to write home about. I don't believe that. It says that even the biggest doubters of the Lions 2025 draft class doubt themselves, as Mock admits here. That's because Holmes has been so good at drafting that it's hard to question anything he does over the 3-day event. Since taking over in 2021, a handful of Holmes picks have gotten lucrative second contracts and more are on their way. He's had to pay so many successful draft picks that it has created financial constraints for Detroit, which isn't ideal, but it's most certainly better than never paying homegrown talent, a sign of a poor drafting. So even with that, I said, okay, cool. But this whole thing that you think you're doing it with analytics, this is BS. It's baloney, right? And then I go over here, right? Because this article jumped out to me. And I'm thinking, all right, well, where are they going with this? It's titled, Lions Dub NFC North Biggest Losers Over Packers, Bears, and Vikings. All right, well, let's see what they're talking about. The Detroit Lions have had a ton of turnover in the coaching staff this offseason, especially in the coordinator position. The Lions lost both their coordinators to head coaching jobs. Ben Johnson is now with the head coach of the Chicago Bears, while Aaron Glenn took over the New York Jets job. Detroit replaced Johnson with John Morton as offensive coordinator and Glenn with Kevin Shepard as defensive coordinator. Morton spent the last 2 seasons as the pass game coordinator for the Denver Broncos, while Shepard was already a Dan Campbell staff as a linebacker coach since 2021. So I'm like, okay, so nothing to argue with there, right? This says, though Detroit has an elite roster and culture, Bleacher Report Moulton still believes the Lions are the biggest offseason losers in the NFC North due to the departure of Glenn and Johnson, right? So I'm like, all right, so far, if that's your argument, right? And this is where, again, this is still subjective. But it lends itself to something that I think that they may have missed when they haven't been really paid attention to the level that people like me or you or any other legitimate Lions fan is focused on the team. It says head coach Dan Campbell has transformed the Detroit Lions to a playoff contender after the clubs finished last in the NFC North for 4 consecutive terms between 2018 and 2021. Now, let me just be clear. We can't gloss over his first statement, which is that Dan Campbell has transformed the Detroit Lions to a playoff contender. Okay, we can't glance over that because if that be the case, coordinators be damn. How, like, you've already said who's the catalyst for it. Like, just like when all those staff people were lost with Bill Belichick, people kept thinking it was going to fall apart, but he kept reproducing the same results because he himself was the catalyst for it. And I believe that they've overlooked that, but they put that disclaimer in there so when people like me come along and challenge it, they can say, well, I did say that it was him. No, you did something a little bit different, but we're going to let you slide. Campbell had help, though. He propelled the Lions to a postseason contention with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn as his coordinators, and they both took head coaching jobs. We know this. Johnson went to a divisional rival where Campbell built a foundation with his coordinators, and it won't be the same without them. I agree that it won't be the same on the defense, but the offense is going to be just fine. Because if you're going to talk about those things, then you need to also talk about what they added on it. It's not just John Morton that's there. David Shaw is there. Okay? One of the things I keep trying to explain to people about Dan Campbell's coaching staff is there's a contingency plan for everything. Okay? And so if for some reason Morton is not getting it done, David Shaw becomes the OC. It's just that simple. If Shep is not getting it done, trust me, there are people already on the roster who's getting that spot. Which, again, could be David Shaw. It could be them moving up the running back coach to the OC position. There's options there, okay? But to treat this, again, as an attack on Brad Holmes, you're subjective, right? But you're trying to quantify this as making them the biggest loser, right? But you're not talking about the fact that the Bears got a new head coach who's never been a head coach. Not high school, not middle school, not Pop Warner, not Pale, not flag football. He has never been a head coach. So we don't know what he's going to be. He was given a shot, and he took full advantage of it. And I think that's great. I think that's phenomenal. But if you're going to talk about it, finish talking about some of them offseason moves. Finish telling me about some of the other things that I can actually physically see with my own two eyes. What up, though, Marcus Willis? Easy Lions Minute. What up, though? I'm just trying to make sure we being fair about this. What's going on, Billy Venable? Boom. What up, though? So I'm looking at all of this. All right. And I'm putting this all in perspective. And this is one of the moments where it's like, if any of you got siblings, right? Just for the people who got a sibling or a cousin or whatever it was, but you got that person in your life where it's like you can talk about them, but everybody else can't because they don't know them the way that you know them, and you know that they're only talking based off of their emotions of what they felt should have happened. Put an emoji in the chat for me, because I'm telling you right now, I'm on that tip. I'm talking about because I'm being objective. I want to see more aggression towards the defense and getting the defense to get close to being on par with, to being on par with them. But to me, it's got to be there. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't like the idea, okay, of saying that Tesla is Tim Patrick's replacement. You drafting replacements this early, right? Like, I can get that part, but it's like no. At best, he's what, the 5th, 6th, 7th receiver? Let's say, for example, Tim Patrick is still going to be at least a 2. J-Mo the 1. Well, technically, Amon-Ra would be considered like your number one target. But just in terms of breaking it down, them your 3 right there. So at best, he's your 4th receiver. Like, let's say he outduels Khalif Raymond. Okay, cool. Right? Like, so, I get that part. What up, though, C. Perry? But what I don't get is these articles who are using their own matrix to try to make it factual. It's not factual. It's not. It's your opinion, just like it's my opinion. It's 100% subjective. The difference is one of us has to be right. Now, Brad Holmes ain't been perfect. No GM in the NFL has. And I love a lot of them. But we have to also put it into perspective before we start going down the rabbit hole of handing out Fs as a grade. What about it is an F? You needed an edge rusher. He got one in the 6th round. Yes, he's a rotational player. He's not going to be a day one starter. And see, all the people who making videos and hopping on this train, I'm almost sure that half of them didn't do no real research on this guy. They watched some highlight tapes, and they said that's good enough for me, right? Whereas I put him in my list of players that I wanted because I identify him as a Lions player, and I identify him as a rotational guy who I said reminds me a lot of Kominski. He's going to work his ass off. He can play inside. He can play outside. I saw that when I was watching snap by snap and what he was doing. He had more of a pass rush plan than the guy we took at 28th. Okay? He just got to need a little bit more fine tuning. But that's not my issue with it. It's the point that he at least addressed a need. The guard was a need. The D-line was a need. You got 2 defensive linemen. The backup safety was a need. Like, these were needs. This wasn't me just trying to be the smart guy in the room. This is just me saying, look, I'm looking at what our general manager pattern is, and I'm trying to identify these Lions guys. But yeah, taking a run-stopping D tackle at 28 when you need pass rush, it's just I'm confused. It is what it is. But I'm logical enough to see where he at least addressed the needs. I remember the year when he took Jahmyr Gibbs, they chewed him out. You can't take a running back in the 1st round. There's no value in there. Everybody and their mama got on a goddamn Jahmyr Gibbs jersey. They don't bought their grandbaby a Jahmyr Gibbs jersey. Why? Because nobody cares about where they're drafted as long as they play well. Nobody cares. Go to the Pistons and tell me, what would you rather have had? Darko Milicic or everything else after that? Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony? I mean, let's be honest. Nobody cares. But if Darko Milicic ended up becoming a household name and he played well and he was a baller, nobody would have cared about them other players. That's why when the draft happens, the only thing that I look at is, do they perform? Now, I can make my beliefs based on what I've seen to tell you who I don't think will perform and who will. Like when I first saw Broderick Martin, I watched so much tape over and over and over to the point it was nauseating, and I came away with the same conclusion. He ain't it. He ain't it. I didn't see anything that let me believe that he was going to be better. Nothing. When I sat there and we took Jeff Okudah and everybody jumped on my head about me telling people that he's not worth a top 10 pick, and we took him, and I told everybody it's not going to work. I told her what I saw. I said, hey, go and watch this game against the Michigan. He should have got called for at least 7 holding penalties, another 6 pass interference, and they didn't call anything. And he got torched over and over by Nico Collins and Donovan People-Jones. I'm not looking at it like how everybody else is. I'm just telling you, we can't be critical of Brad Holmes and call it objective. We can't do that. That's just not true. You can't tell me that it's objective and you're giving me a whole bunch of subjective views. So that's really what I wanted to jump on today. I'm gonna put the link in the chat for the people who want to join me. Okay. But yeah, it just boiled down to being realistic about it. Like, seriously. Because if we truthfully are being truthful about it, he, at the very least, addressed some needs. This is why I don't get this synopsis that he draft best player available. That's only a small fragment of the puzzle. It's not, and it's not even true. It's not taking best player available. It's just not. He can lie and tell everybody that BS, but that's just not true. Now, if they want to come out and say, hey, Brad Holmes is growing more and more arrogant and getting attitudes when he asks legitimate questions, that's true. That's true. You should be questioned. I don't care what you think you proved. We ain't won a Super Bowl. We ain't been. So yes, what you've done is built a regular season warrior. Yeah. So yeah, you still get to be questioned. The same way the head coach get to be questioned. The same way the players who are playing get to be questioned. You ain't done nothing for me not to question it. Now, if people start saying don't question Rosen for the Eagles, well, at least he did something. He got that team to the Super Bowl. So yeah, his questioning is a little different. But what we can't do is act as if though that, we can't question you. No. And then Brad Holmes comes up with some of the weirdest statements I've heard him say in a long time. But y'all have to pay attention to the words that he's saying because it's wordplay. It's wordplay. When he say things like, he was my favorite receiver, that's BS, Brad. You yourself said you didn't even notice who the hell he was until you happened to stumble upon him at the goddamn Senior Bowl. And then you said, let's go back and look at some more tape. And then you decided to interview him and you open it up, which tells me what your true impression was. Hey, this guy is going to do whatever it can for us as a player because he's a true Lions fan. And he's from here. And if y'all ain't paid attention, the Lions have strategically added players from the state of Michigan repeatedly because he knows that they're going to play hard and go out and do their best and take things more serious because they need to still show out for the people at home who has rooted for them, supported them, and been rocking with them. That's just the reality of it. So a lot of it is just confusion for me where we're doing things based on information that they're not privy to. You're not privy to none of these people's big board. This is about your big board. And your big board has got to be some shit. Like, it has to be. And to the fans who are going at them, when they say, well, didn't any day one starters that could potentially come back to bite, but Brad Holmes is running the show. I just look at what other winning GMs are doing, like Howie Roseman, and he seems to add a defensive stud every damn year. Based on the pre-draft value, the trade up, this isn't a surprising grade. That doesn't mean the Lions didn't draft potential impactful and long-term players. It only means that they didn't get value picks based on the pre-draft expectation. Like, just use some logic and to try to put this thing on. It's like, come on. It says, I'm going to become afraid when they start agreeing with Brad Holmes. Keep those low grades coming. Super Bowl, bye Felicia. Like, I get it. What I don't get is the blind trust in Brad Holmes. I don't get that. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to get a blind trust. But there's no outside of Tesla and Hutch, which other players were Michigan products? We got a few of them. Rather they get them as an undrafted free agent, rather they get them in a trade. We've had a few players who were from the Michigan area. Hell, they just brought the one dude back, Avant Maddox. Like, that's what they do. He goes out and get Detroit people. And it says your device is disconnected, Will. Crimson, what up, though?
Oh, hey, man, what's up? Oh, Will's in the chat.
Will's in it. Well, he's in the back. It says that it says he needs to connect a mic before he can be added to the stream. So he doesn't have a mic connected.
Or something.
Yeah, he doesn't have a mic connected. I mean, what are your thoughts? I never thought I had to sit up here and defend Brad Holmes to this degree, but this is not objective. This is a subjective view.
I mean, you've said it in the past before, man. I mean, draft grades are kind of just BS until you see them actually hit the field. It's really going to be a matter of who's actually the starters here and who's actually a starter, who's going to be a bust. Can't really say it's. That's why I hate these early draft grades, because you really don't know. Like, what were the draft grades back then when we drafted Gibbs? Because I know we got clowned on for that back in the day.
They gave them I think the highest grade I saw Gibbs get was a B plus. And that's because everybody couldn't understand why would you take a running back 12th overall. And my attitude to it was you needed a running back. And if you look at David Montgomery was a good pickup, but he needed a compliment.
Yeah, but right. Gibbs, who they were like, he's a second round. You know, that was their thing. That if it was like Bijan Robinson or something like that, they wouldn't have said anything.
I think they would have said it whether it was Bijan or Saquon. They judged the Giants when they took Saquon high. So because people really buy into this idea of positional value, whereas I disagree with that approach, and Brad Holmes does too. Nobody cares about this thing called positional value as long as you get the right players. And I know that the idea is to try to get people under rookie contracts, but they're all going to be under rookie contracts. If you get them in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh, they're all under rookie contracts.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, man. I mean, the Michigan-born thing. I mean, that's more of a Red Wings thing I think about, because that's every headline we get over there is just we bring in a Michigan guy. And I can tell you right now, it doesn't work for us. I can tell you that straight up. But I can't think of a lot of Michigan-born guys we bring in like from the draft. But again, you were saying
Anthony Pittman. We added Anthony Pittman. We just traded for Maddox, who was a Michigan person. Obviously, Ada Hutchinson is from here. Yeah. Obviously, Tesla's from here. But if you just keep going down the pipeline and looking at people born and raised here in Michigan, it's a bunch of them. The Lions, in fact, it's one of the reasons if you look at it, while a lot of people from here, by here, get a lot of love, right? They love the local combine and things like that. And I think that's what people don't realize. But we come out with one of them every year. Somebody from Michigan every year.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, there's also that you can't really trust what Brad Holmes also says, because he also once said he wasn't high on linebackers and never would draft one high. And then on that same draft, what's he go and do? He drafts Jack Campbell. So
yeah.
you can't trust
I mean,
what he says.
Like I said, he's good at what he does in terms of not letting people know. D. Robinson, yeah, I forgot about him. You know, I forgot. You mean AR? And the Allen Robinson, another guy we added that was a Michigan guy.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's like a lot of these little names in there that most people don't realize are people who are born and raised from Michigan, but they was here, right?
Mostly
like
in the practice squad and whatnot.
Yeah. So we get them, and there's no knock on that. I know Will back here waiting patient. I see he got his mic hooked up. You want to hang in the back for me for a minute, Crimson? I bring him in.
Yeah, I do.
All right, appreciate you, sir. Bring in William Birch. Do I say your last name right?
It's like beer rack.
Oh, I've been way the fuck off. Okay, my bad. See, can't nobody ever say I don't. It's just NFL players. I botch everybody damn name. Beer rack. Is that how you say it? Beer rack.
Yeah, I had a kid in elementary school. It was during the Obama administration. He used to call me Beer Rack Obama.
Yeah. No, fuck. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna get it together though. All right. So I had to defend Brad Holmes today because this media has used a false matrix to try and act as if though they objectively handed out a grade. What are your thoughts on this?
When it comes to criticism towards Brad Holmes, I actually don't mind criticism at the process. Like, he really likes the guys he likes, but we gave up, a 4th-round pick to go up and get Tate Radledge. We gave up 2/3 next year. Even though we got 2/6 back, we lost about a 1/4 in value, according to pick charts off that trade. So even though he's going up and getting guys he has strong convictions on, I do get people not liking the process and trading away all those assets. And even if, time might tell that Isaac Tesla works out, but even if he works out, is the process good in that regard? Just because a good outcome happens doesn't mean the process itself was good.
I don't know if I guess what it is to me is my issue is this idea that they've made it objective based on the formula that they come up with, which is based on positional value, which Brad Holmes has said, what the fuck is that? Trade value and perceived reach or steals. And they did that utilizing the consensus big board that's their big board. It's not the Lions big board.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they were in the Lions room and said, hey, we saw the Lions big board. We don't know how the hell they came up with these picks. That's one thing. They're not saying it. This is their big board. Nobody shares your big board.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say on positional values, this is something I learned this offseason. There's a different, so the idea is, okay, if I get a defensive end right now, top of market, you get a top 5 guy, that's in the 30 millions, and you're getting that guy for what, $4 million a year? So technically you're saving $26 million a year if he's that high-end guy. But for someone like Shamar Stewart, yeah, he has all the traits in the world, but he's not going to, if you're getting him to what you think he can be, that's not hitting until year 3. So you've already wasted half the rookie contract. So it's, even though it's positional value to get that guy, technically you're not getting the full value of the contract at that point because they're also developing him during that time frame. Whereas the Lions, say somebody like Tyleik Williams, who, just strong, ugly mug, I think he might actually be one of the strongest people already on the team the moment he steps in. He pistol whips people around consistently, almost like every other play. That I'm going to get all 4 years 5 if they take the 5th-year contract. And I'm going to get production out of all 5 of those years. It might not show up in the stat sheet because he's a nose tackle. I get that. I think he has a little bit of pass rush juice. I think he can collapse the pocket, but that's obviously that's not what they drafted him to be. They drafted him to be the DJ Reader replacement. But anyways, at least with Tyreek Williams, you're getting the full value of that contract. Which, you get out of these other positions. Michael Williams, he's 11th overall. You're not getting the full value of that contract. Because he has to, first off, he was dealing with injury all year. And now you're telling me a guy who's never surpassed 4.5 sacks is magically going to jump into the league and start producing? No, it's going to take 2-3 years, which cuts into the value of it. And I think that's another topic that isn't really discussed when we're talking positional value.
You know why positional value is not a thing and why Brad Holmes don't see it as a thing? Because it goes against a basic logic, and that basic logic is this, right? If you've ever been hungry or homeless, right? If you've ever been hungry or homeless, I can put you in a 1-bed studio, or I can put you in a 4-bedroom. You're not going to care if it's a 4 or 1-bedroom. You only care about the fact that you're no longer homeless. And for him, he doesn't care about positional value or contracts and stuff like that per se, as long as he gets the talent. He only cares that he's gained the talent. If I got the talent, I don't care what nobody say. I'll take a tight end in the 1st or 2nd round because guess what? I got the talent. And nobody's going to complain about where I took him when he's the talent and he's performing, right? But if I go out, I take a Jeff Okudah. Everybody talks about Jeff Okudah. Why? Because you took him 2nd or 3rd overall? 3rd overall, I want to say, right? And he didn't produce. Yet we put him in a mansion. And nobody cared that he was in the mansion because he took him 3rd overall. What they realized was there were people who were undrafted who did better than him. And they were literally barely out of the shelter. And if you just like, for example, right? I've known people who have been hungry. I'm talking about like real hungry. And I've met people who have never had a day of hunger in their life. Right? I think black licorice is one of the most disgusting inventions of all time. Whoever made that stuff is absolutely ludicrous. They are diabolical on every level. But to a person who's hungry, it's filet mignon. It's the greatest meal they've ever had. Right? And so when you have that level of logic there, nobody cares about the contracts and all that stuff first. Because guess what? If you look at it, most of the ones that they take in the first year, they doing it simply for the 5th-year option. Realistically. Mm-hmm. And so this is why Brad Holmes doesn't agree with the idea of positional value. He doesn't like the idea that he has to take a player based solely on the value, because if that be the case, you should take a quarterback every year. That's what he said. Right? So he's only looking at the fact that, hey, I just want to make sure that I get the talent. That's what he wants. I just don't like the fact that they use this matrix with their big board to do it and say, oh, well, this is objective. The hell it is. This is your opinion. This is your opinion, just like it would be my opinion to go and start a Madden franchise, create some players, and I take all the people I want and say, see, even Madden would have knew that these would have been better.
So there's a good quote I really like by a sociologist that kind of relates to this. It says, facts are objective. The usage of facts is subjective.
Yeah. You talking about damn it, now I don't drew a blank on the brother name. Lord Jesus. The sociologist, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and that's what this feels like to me. When people say, I have created an objective measurement tool. Well, no, all the pieces themselves might be objective, but you're a human who put all those pieces together to create a measurement tool, thus creating a subjective system. The moment you input human interaction into that and human subjectivity, it ends up turning it from objective to subjective, which I just don't like people saying, "Oh, I found an objective measurement." Just say, "Hey, I created a system."
Right. Just say, hey, we created a system that we use to evaluate the grades of a player that we believe gives us the best thing based on the following matrix that we created for ourselves. But what they did was they tried to double down on it when they came with this BS right here, where they says the grades are not subjective. They are based on data and math. I don't give two flying nickels what you talking about, because how the hell do you base it on data and math when you don't have the data or math of the actual team's big board? You don't have the data and math of the actual team's like arrangement of order of who they had rated high or not. Like, you can't tell me that is not subjective. It says our analyst's goal today is to put everything together, player value, positional value, and trade value before grading each. What about the teams that didn't trade?
There was a good one where, like, do these... Okay, so it does talk about the trade value. But even, like, the Falcons. Okay, the Falcons got James Pierce Jr. at 27. Cool. They gave up a second and a first round next year for it.
Right. Which is even more baffling to me when you give an F to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who moved down, or maybe moved up one spot, and they gave up a first, right? But they moved up one spot and they got their target. And if he performs well, who cares? Who cares? They're not betting that they're going to be picking in the top 5 or top 10 next year. They're not betting on that.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're giving the Browns an A+, right? Because they took Mason Graham. Right?
And Shedeur fell to the 5th. And
then Shedeur fell to the 5th.
Like,
right?
How can that be objective? Who would have guessed that?
So it's just like I said, it's just those little things. Now, I got people in the back waiting. If you want to hang in the back for a sec, I'll bring you back. I do want to get to the other people, but it's blowing my mind. What up, though, Marshall's Landon? It's blowing my mind. Sig McFroy, thank you, sir. Got to remember all my sociologist people. All right. But it's just blowing my mind that they're trying to put this off as if though this right here is not subjective. It's 100% subjective. Your formula is subjective. Your data is subjective. Like, I don't know. How do you come up to the numbers to determine this? You know what I mean? Like the math ain't math then, if that can make sense. So let me put you to the back real quick. I'm going to bring in my next guest. Because this, I never thought I had to come and do this. If you're going to be critical about the approach. That will bring a good point. You know, maybe it's his approach about how he did it. Be upset about the approach, but don't act like it's objective. John, what up, though?
What's going on, Luke? Always happy to see you on here.
Talk to me, brother. I mean, we got people out here with these weird formulas. They handing out F grades, and they're critical of Brad Holmes, but they're only critical of Brad Holmes, from my opinion, off of the subjective belief that they felt that they should have took somebody else in the first. Now, I believe that they should have took somebody else in the first too, right? Yeah, the difference is with me is the difference between me and them is I'm not passing it off as an objective view where there's no subjectivity to it. He eventually got it. I would have loved to have gotten 2 edge rushers in this draft. I would have loved to have gotten a linebacker. I would have loved to have gotten the guard, right? And still walked away with a D tackle and any other weapon that you want to add.
And it could have been done. It could have been done.
It could have been done. But this formula is a bunch of baloney.
I give it a C, because I feel there's some names we could have swapped around, done different things. Could have gotten Campbell at 28. We could have traded back up and gotten Alfred Collins, the defensive tackle. I feel is very similar to the guy we got in the first, but I've been told, I'm not a scout. I don't see, where their hands are placed, and that this guy's knees are 2 inches farther apart than this guy's knees, and but not enough. Now the Tesla pick, like that, oh God. I understand from a fan point, you're drafting a guy who's a fan of the Lions. He's going to work that much harder. But you got a guy very similar, who got picked by the Raiders 30 picks later as a wide receiver. An inch taller, about a second faster, that I think is going to do the same. And as I said in the comment, you know what? We'll wait till mid-January, and we will find out what players that I think we should have taken and who they took does better. Now, there will be critics who say, well, John, this person had this opportunities, and they were on this team, and this was this scenario, and they wouldn't have had that scenario there. It is what it is. But when it comes to the grade of an F, we didn't take a punter, did we?
Right. They act like we went out there and was like, Dylan from the band was like punter, punter because we spit hot fire. That's not what we did.
With it. Me and you, we pretty much aligned on the draft where we could have gone. And this whole best player narrative, I think, is a bunch of bullshit from Brad. Like, it's not. How can it be? Like,
it's a bunch of smoke. It's a lot of smoke, and I'll be the first to admit that
it's positional need.
It's 100% need.
A defensive tackle, and he can say whatever he wants. If it was about best player available, Campbell, and then the edge from Marshall, like, there you go. Because you have to face running quarterbacks, and this year we have an extra one called Lamar Jackson. So let me know how Tyleik Williams is oh God, what did your first guest say about Tyleik Williams? Throwing around like something. There was an adjective that he used, a phrase.
No, you talking about Will with the second. He was saying that you can see him talk. Which in the run game, you can see that happening.
Sure, but really, he's gonna get to Lamar Jackson and toss him around when you have way faster and more agile linebackers being juked out of their pants. But we're going to stop him with a nose tackle. You're drafting a nose tackle in the first for a need that is a 2026 need.
Yeah, and shout out to Mama's Dope Boy says grades are so ridiculous. They are. They're stupid.
I mean, that's why I said mid-January. We'll see where they're at. I mean, give it every couple weeks, every fourth week. Let's see where this player and that player are at. Let's see if they improve and how they improve.
Now,
I say we could have done better, but there's nothing we can do. We have to accept it.
Right, but to me, it's not. To me, this is why when people ask me to grade, I go, "How can you grade?" and they haven't took a snap, right? So, like, I give you a perfect example, right? Do anybody remember when the Tennessee Titans drafted the offensive lineman out of Alabama? And everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's going to be a mauler. He's going to be this, and this, and this." And the dude played one game. One game. That was Isaiah Wilson. That was 16? A couple years ago. And he played one game. So, but yeah, like I said, man, I'm just putting it out there to say that if you're going to make this statement, make it. And that's not going to be. I got people popping in quick too. I see y'all in the back, Jim. I see you back there, Ed. I see you back there, Mars. Hold tight for me.
We could have done better. It's not enough, but you and me both know if it was best player.
Oh, that was Isaiah wasn't out of. He was out of Georgia. My bad. I said Alabama. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We draft so many Alabama players. I start to be realizing like that's our goddamn
hand.
Yeah.
Great.
That's our damn farming system.
You know,
I ain't mad at it though. But John, what else you got before I go to the next guest? I want to get as many people in as possible.
I feel we could have done better, but there ain't ish we can do about it. Wait, watch, and see. You know, I think that Brad Holmes had a handshake, maybe a gentleman's agreement was Darius Smith that, hey, I'll be back after the draft. I just want to see what you guys do. If you don't get someone, I'll come back in. Because if they didn't do that, then I do feel it could be a C- D+ grade. Like, that is a thing that was needed, is going to be needed. Everyone talked about, can't wait to see Z Smith and Hutch. It'll be a good combination. If he don't come back and you didn't get someone and you waited till the 6th round on a guy who's real passionate and barks because he barks and he has passion. Oh, let's get him. Oh, damn, was he a Lions fan?
You say he was real passionate and barked.
I can do that shit too. I can bark at work and act like a fool. Don't mean it's going to make me feel my parts any better.
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you, John. He just to me looked like a Lions guy because he had real hustle and he could play inside, outside. So that's what it was for me.
Got him there, but still had Campbell and another edge, and still got in your guard and gotten a defensive tackle to get double teamed because that's what he's there for, right? He's the DJ Reader replacement, the nose tackle. That's what nose tackles do. They take up double.
I agree, and that's what I'm saying. We can question the system. We can question the system, but to give an F grade just seems unfair. John, let me get to my next guest, brother. I appreciate you for coming through. Let me bring in Ed W. And then I'm gonna try to get everybody else back in the second go around. Ed, what's going on, bro?
Hey, good evening,
Good evening, man. Talk to me, man.
Well, I'm gonna tell. I really wouldn't give him no F, but I'm gonna tell you he ain't too far off of it.
Okay, I'm gonna let you cook, but I'm gonna need you to break it down for me now. Talk to me.
Okay. For one thing, I personally, it's my opinion, think I kind of got Brad figured out on how he's building this team. He wants a winner, a seasonal winner, but we don't like the seasoning as fans. We want a Super Bowl. He patterns a lot of his picks, as I noticed, the way that Dallas used to do the picks in the 90s when they wanted to protect their little quarterback, and they had all of this. They had a really good running back. We had all of this, and then we went out there. Then the defense sucked every game, and then they finally got this magical guy called Deion Sanders, and then he took the top off, and then they went to winning.
And not to mention, he added Charles Haley. He had Leon Lett out there as well. So he had some people out there that was able to help the defense help. There were some key pieces out there, but what he did was after the Cowboys got a lot of the players that they got, they added the additional free agents to take them over the hump.
Yeah, but Brad's a little new age. He thinks he's, matter of fact, I give him his credit because I'm not going to take away his credit. He has been the smartest room. He built it, but you built a house from nothing. Every player you put in there that was talented beat the person that was there before. Because 0-16, we basically had a high school team out there. Now he's built it up. We don't have no more crazy Schwartz. He got rid of all of that. Now the problem that I have is there was a real good quote about 9-8 or 9-6 ain't good enough. We fired him. Well, he was winning for us. Brad is starting to walk a fine line into that same thing because our Lions fans, I'm one of them, we're petty. You're not going to keep giving me this winning. I can't win a game in the Super Bowl.
Especially when you in a window, though. That's the only thing. If they're having the argument that, hey, they're in a small window for the Super Bowl and they need to be more aggressive to get it now, excuse me, cool. You're in a small window. You need to get it now. I'm with it.
And then Pittsburgh, look at the quarterback. He's known nothing but being a seasonal winner. He got one Super Bowl underneath his belt, but he wins every year and they keep him.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh formula is different. They've only had 3 head coaches in their history.
But their fans are comfortable with it. As Lions fans, he doesn't understand the situation of what we're at. We're not.
Right. We never been to the Super Bowl and we never won one. And it would be different if you've been to it and won it. That's why Pittsburgh fans are a little bit more patient. But I can tell you because my family is mostly Pittsburgh fans, so I have to hear it all the time. And they're growing tiresome of this approach. They don't want to just keep being regular season warriors and not winning anything. So I get it.
So that's why he's on the hot seat. And Brad's just on the hot seat earlier, even though he's doing these winnings, because you can't tell me that as a collective, as a whole, making all of this noise, that you don't see the potential of just you got everything in place. You could have did all of that, kept Darius or whoever you want to switch him out, whatever, but get Aiden his help and then go ahead and move on from there and get because if he would have did that one thing, he would have shut all this noise down. None of us would have cared.
Hands down. If you got a running mate to go with Aiden, I agree with you. I think a lot of this would have been hush quiet because you would have got a running mate, and it wouldn't have mattered who you got at D tackle. And it's unfortunate because I believe that's what it boils down to. But I don't believe that this formula that they have is legit, or that this formula that they have is so well versed that it's like, like, oh, we just can't miss. I don't buy that one bit.
Yep. So basically, I'm saying we need the Lions. I don't know who it is. Somebody got to date me a Ford or something and get them to understand we need to do like our cousins, the Pistons, and get a bad boy in there. Because I don't care if it was Mike Green or the pick from last year, but moving forward, we need one bad boy in there. J-Mo is not a bad boy, but J-Mo's just misguided. We need a bad boy that want to go in here, cause ruckus, be the guy off the field that may be getting in trouble, and I don't care what it is, but he's going to be the guy that's going to get us to that promised land, because we're not going to get it with all these goody good boys. And then the guy he picked that's supposed to be so dirty, look at his YouTube. Dude drinking beers. That's your bad boy? It look like a drunk. So this media and marketing, we know they're going to do this every year. Mel Kiper's going to piss us off next year. but I'm going to tell you that as far as his grades go right now, he is not that far off of it, because he gave up way too many third rounds for Tesla. If Tesla was valued so highly, you would have picked him to pick before.
You can get no argument out of me. But I just give a little pushback on the idea of an F grade. That's all I'm saying before they take a snap. But you ain't gonna get too many arguments out of me.
Okay. Our guy from Ohio State, our big nose tackle. Well, he was fighting through injuries, so he really couldn't get too much production. He had little gimps and things. And then again, what was his name called for all of these highlights? And he was the biggest, baddest guy in the room to be picked so valuably high. He's strong, but and nobody's going to move him out the way, but they're just going to run past you.
So let me see. Hold on. I want an easy Lion minute says, which edge rusher available in the draft provided pass rush ability without sacrificing run defense? Okay, so this just
definitely me. Can I jump in? I'm gonna let you finish. Definitely not our defensive tackle that we picked as a project player, who reminds me more of Rudy from the Notre Dame movie than anything else.
Now, he says that, and then he puts, watch the Mike Green versus Ohio State film, multiple low effort plays. I thought Mike Green had a hell of a game. I saw that in real time. Like, I thought he had a hell of a game against Ohio State. But this is where we're talking about sacrificing the run. All right. Mm-hmm. So we have to be able to say, the run issues are a result of running quarterbacks. Okay. If you look at Aiden Hutchinson and how he plays and how he's a type of pass rusher that he is, you need a compliment to that. And a guy like Mike Green was a pure pass rusher, in my opinion, right? Where you can get him to do it, and he played the run, right? It wasn't like he didn't play the run; he played the run. But I think in a guy like Mike Green, having that compliment was perfect opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, because if Aiden Hutchinson breaks through, right, you're forcing it to a guy who's more athletic with more speed that can get on top of the quarterback quicker. And if he comes through and breaks through from the opposite side, they're going to force it into the other people. The problem with it is our run defense has never been their major problem. In fact, if you go back to our game against the Commanders, it wasn't a run defense that was the problem. It was our inability to get a pass rush on third and longs. I got my whole live shut down for showing that. And it's just saying, like, okay, you got to be able to get home on some of these plays. So I get what you're saying. I'm not tripping on you from that regard. I think that, you make some good points, but I also look at it and I say, here's your alternative. The guy that Mike Green is, that's essentially what they're expecting from Marcus Davenport. The difference between Marcus Davenport and Mike Green is healthy. Marcus Davenport is not. And if you look at it, they're going to try to bring Zadarius Smith back, who's another speed rusher guy, who's similar to Mike Green, just he's younger. Mike Green is younger. So they seem to be in the same realm of things, in my opinion, but who knows, right? Like,
yeah, but look at our guard. You got Penei Sewell, who was eating and doing all of that stuff So now you got a guard opposite him, right? The only good thing that I really kind of like out of this is that if any one of them two work out, you can get Glasgow behind Frank Ragnow because Frank hurt. I told you a couple years ago, I saw him. I know that boy can't even, he's limps walking just period. So I don't even know how he does it.
Which is funny because it's funny that you say that, and I hate to cut you off, but it's funny you said it because I'm thinking if we're in the midst of finding a replacement for when people gonna leave on 1 year deals, why we didn't just go and get another center?
If he would have did that in the first round, that would have been a great sign.
You know, so I get it. I get both arguments, but I just want more consistency. That's all. Let me bring in my next guest, Ed.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna bring my next guest. If you want to hang in the back, I'll bring you right back so we can keep this thing going. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if Will left or not. Let me see. Hold on. Will, you still there?
Yep.
Okay, your name changed. I don't know what the hell going on. Okay, all right, hold on. And let me bring in my next guest. Mars is up in the building. Mars is landing. Mars, what's going on, bro?
What up, though?
What's going on, man?
You can hear me?
I can hear you, bro.
Okay, what up, though?
What up, though? You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Talk to me. What you got, man? Obviously, everybody is like super down. They got all these made up ass formulas talking about the Lions' grades are F.
Well, you know me. I'm total opposite. I'm total happy with the draft. Every pick. Love it. I love it. You know why I love it?
Talk to me.
Because for the last how long Brad Holmes been our general manager?
This will be his 5th year.
5th year?
Yep.
Every year he had a hit. Every year I hear people talking about, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. He should have did this, he should have did that. I don't want to hear that. All the pass rushers, I looked at them. All the pass rushers, I don't like Mike Green. I don't like the Pierce guy. I don't like none of the pass rushers that came out this year. Like, they wasn't flashy. They didn't hit that for me. None of them like Hutch coming out. So what's the point of getting somebody that's not gonna fit the team? If it's not gonna be a fit for the team, we're not talking about playing football. We're talking about our team. Our team. We want a Super Bowl, bro. We can't win no Super Bowl with somebody that's being. That's why Shador didn't get picked. If somebody's selfish, they don't want to play hard. If you hello, can you still hear me?
Yep, you back now. I lost you for a minute. Yeah. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, if somebody don't want to play hard, why would you want somebody like that on your team? What if Mike Green don't want to be here? What if the edge rushers didn't want to be here? And we crying about an edge rusher that we want to be here that don't want to be here.
All right, Mars, I got to give you a little pushback.
Let's go kill the team. Let's go kill the team.
I got to give you a little pushback, Mars.
That want to be here.
So, Mars, when you get drafted, right?
Yeah.
When you get drafted, you got drafted. Be damned with what you want. What you want and what you going to get is two different things, right?
Exactly.
So my attitude to it is this. I'm going to tell you why I have an issue with us not getting the pass rusher.
Because Zadarius coming back.
You know what?
Zadarius coming back. He perfect.
Oh, I mean, according to his girlfriend, he coming back. He ain't going nowhere. Yeah, and I think he's coming back too because
I don't think there's one pass rusher that came out the draft that's going to be better than him this year.
I think Mike Green gonna shock you.
I don't think so.
Especially on the Ravens. Oh, it's about to be, and we gonna play the Ravens, so we gonna find out who Mike Green is.
Especially on it, he gonna have to play better than somebody else.
I just know the Ravens ain't doing these kind of things.
He gonna have to play better than somebody else, and then he gonna have to be able to get along with his team.
See, the thing is the thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to put out there something that is not true. The reason why many people wanted Mike Green is because Mike Green provides you that pure pass.
He had a good practice at the Senior Bowl. That's why everybody want him.
He had 17.5 sacks his last year.
Who else did he have on his team?
Or
He
Marshall?
wasn't,
Nobody.
he wasn't the only person. He can't be the only person. He didn't go out there on the field by himself.
Mike Green didn't have no talent around him for him to be doing that.
It might be some talent over there that ain't nobody looking at.
Well, if it is, then ain't none of them get their ass drafted. But
Hey, how many people have me and you talked about that should be drafted, that should have been in the NFL that did not get drafted?
That's facts. That is facts. I can't argue with that.
How many people have me and you talked about that went in the first round and they didn't even play 2 years?
I mean, that's another good point. I get that part too. These are all true facts right there. Can't argue with you on that. But I think to come into a draft and come out with 7 picks, and 4 of the 7 picks are offensive players, that is absolutely wild to me.
Why?
Like, wow.
We got a trash quarterback. We got a trash quarterback that we have to protect. If we don't protect this quarterback, if we don't protect this quarterback,
like that, man.
I'm just thinking like Brad, man. If we don't protect this quarterback, he can't throw. He's gonna fumble. So y'all
we got a trash quarterback that we gotta protect.
So we should have no guards to protect Jared Goff.
You say protect.
We know he gonna give us. We know he gonna give us 2 games with 10 turnovers. We come on now.
And you say at all costs you got to protect. You got to protect Jared Goff at all costs.
I'm surprised we didn't draft a tight end too.
Hey, you doing Jared Goff right now? Listening, going, man, who the hell is this guy?
Man, I don't care about no damn Jared Goff. Man, hey, tell you the truth, I don't mind if we don't have a great season this year, because I want Jared Goff gone. I don't mind if we don't have a great season, bro.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's gonna get him going.
If we have a good season, we have one. But I'm ready for the statue to leave, man.
Listen, I've pointed this out. I thought we was going to achieve this when we brought in Hendon Hooker, and I asked the people the question of,
he ain't ready.
See, this is the thing. I don't know if I agree with the idea of him being ready, because I've seen players like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Charles Haley, NFL Hall of Famer, got I think more rings than Brady, said the following. He said, half the time he's in practice, he didn't know what the hell was going on, but he knew if he got to the quarterback, they wouldn't notice. Right? Some people are just not good at practicing. They have to be. Right. They have to be put in the game.
And let me tell you this: if you put Hendon Hooker in the Detroit Lions game, and he do not complete every pass that he throws, he might not make it out of the stadium.
I mean,
they gonna have his head on a stove. Detroit Lion fans don't give you no chance. They don't give you no time to figure out anything. They want it done right now. We like old boy said, we never had no Super Bowl. Shit, we ain't never had no Super Bowl, so shit. Let's figure out how. We can't just put it in the microwave and then let it cook up and pop out and we can hit it in the streets. It's not like that in football. You got to cook this thing up for real, man. This gonna have to cook all day, all night like brisket.
Okay. Okay. You say it's gonna have to be like brisket. You gotta slow cook it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything is still not in place. We still got players that's 5th and 6th rounders. We are like, we need these guys, bro. We need these guys. We not Pittsburgh, where our coach has been here for 20 years and he didn't have some establishment for 20 years and he got players that he didn't forgot about. Like, we got to give these Lions a chance. We hope we win a Super Bowl this year. But this shit is hard, especially when you got an immobile quarterback that will fumble on your ass. And you got injuries that play. We don't know who's going to get injured next year. That's another thing. Like this shit go by day when it's in the NFL. This shit ain't. Oh, he didn't do this in the draft, so throw away the season. No, bro. No. Let this thing cook, man. Let this thing cook and then let's see what it tastes like at the end.
I'm picking up the analogy. I'm not that boy says like brisket. You gotta let that thing smoke a little bit longer. That's all. Hey, I'm not mad at you, Mars, but I do want to point this out to you. And this is why I brought this video up and put it on the screen. Because this is something I want people to remember. Why I wanted an edge rusher of high quality that was a pure pass rusher like Mike Green. This is 3rd and 5. Okay?
Right.
They're running a stunt. For all practical purposes, that is a damn good push by the outside DN, which I think that's Pascal.
Is Aiden Hutchinson in there?
Not in this one.
Okay. He gonna be in the next one though.
But what this shows me is even with the pressure up the middle, if you don't have nobody on the outside, they just gonna get out the pocket and do that.
You don't have Aiden Hutchinson, bro.
Okay, so I can show you the Buccaneers game. I can show you the Buccaneers game.
That play is gonna look so different with Aiden Hutchinson.
But I can show you the Buccaneers game with Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil in, and same play, similar happened to it, and the guy just ran to the opposite side of away from Aiden Hutchinson and still completed the pass.
What, that Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
He's good.
I know, but what I'm telling you is this year they got the 3rd hardest schedule according to the win-loss like records and stuff like that, obviously. But I'm just pointing out to you that if this is the kind of stuff that's happening on 3rd, like this is 3rd and 5, right? This is 3rd and 5. And we didn't have nobody that was fast enough to get to this quarterback. He stops while he on a pursuit and stands in tall and delivers a pass. Like that's demoralizing.
It is. But our whole defense was not out there. Our defense wasn't out there.
I hear you. But like
backups.
But like even right here,
all backups out there.
Look, like even right here, this right here is Aleem McNeil and Pascal. Pascal doing work. 2 people on Pascal. Aleem putting in work, getting up off of him. Right? 2 people get on him. The quarterback goes to the opposite side of where the rush was because there's nobody opposite of him, and does this.
Yeah, that now, to me that looked like the defensive coordinator fault. That looked like the wrong play to be calling for that situation.
There is no defensive coordinator, I don't care who he is, who can draw up a defense to stop what this man just did right here. To be this close to being able to touch him, to him getting out the pocket, running up a little bit with a guy coming down full speed to get him and delivers a dart. Like there's no defense. I don't give a fuck what you win. There's nothing you can do to stop that.
That look like my favorite girl. That look like Josh.
You're not finna go down this road with you right now today. let me bring my other guest back, Mars, man. I appreciate you for rocking with me, bro.
You know I love Josh, bro.
Mars is finna go into a whole love fest. They look like damn Josh Allen over there. Hey, I'm not gonna play with you, but again, you know, it's one of them things where
I pick up what you putting down, man.
There's nobody to contain that. Even if you got Aiden Hutchinson, right? I can show you plays where Aiden Hutchinson blew the play up and the guy just ran away from his side.
But we didn't have all our players. We didn't have our
in that game that I'm talking about,
Bars.
In that game that I'm talking about, 90% of our team was out there. And what I was not expecting to see was which was what I noticed over and over, which was when Aiden did get back there, they just ran away from him because the guy on the other side was not a factor.
Who was it? Who was over there?
That Pascal. It was Pascal, and then on the other side was in this particular, and that was what's Muhammad El Quad Muhammad.
Everybody was loving him.
I loved him a lot. I think he plays both the runs, but again, he's not a starter. That's all I'm saying.
He's not a starter. He'll back up.
But yeah, appreciate you for coming through, brother. I got a few more minutes before I get out of here. I'm gonna bring in some more guests, and hopefully you keep on rocking with it, brother, man. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy, bro. I'll holler at you.
For sure. One of the world's greatest dads right there, people. If y'all don't know it, man, that man right there don't play about his kids. Anybody can get got when it comes to his family, man. Let me bring back in Crimson and Will. And if you're gonna let me bring in John, no, it's not letting me bring you in. What the hell is going on? Hold on. Give me a second to figure this out.
Jared, that was hilarious.
Hey, I like the analogy of the brisket. He said you gotta let that shit cook a little bit longer.
Right about that.
I like the little brisket analogy. I ain't gonna lie. But I just, and again, if y'all wondering why I'm not letting this thing play on, because I don't want them to, to cut me off. But I'm sorry, I just don't see how there's any defense that you can call where this is going to get stopped.
Look how long he's in there.
Yeah, he's right there in the face of Pascal. Like, oops, no, let me get back out. Then he looks and sees Aline right there, and he's like, nope. And then at this point, that's Levi Onwuzurike at the other damn DN spot. Look at this. Levi ain't nowhere near him. The linebacker jumps up in the air, but there's no defense for this. And the reason is, I get it. Levi up top trying to keep outside contained, but this ain't it.
No, it's not. It's not. And it's like, there's nothing you can do. No one's getting into the QB. So what do you want him to do?
Right.
You got no pass rush. And at that point, we had no freaking, it's like, I know he kept saying, we got Hutch. Well, what if Hutch gets hurt again? What do you got for plan B? Oh, wait. We've got Davenport. Oh, he's hurt again.
Again, it's just one of the things where I can't knock the hustle. And again, this is pointed out. We still don't have anybody fast enough for these type of quarterbacks. And that's just the reality. We don't have that. We need somebody fast enough. Mike Green would have been that guy. Do I believe that Hassanin can be that guy? I think he can be that guy in situational, right? And he could end up being a really good guy, a really good pickup. I'm not going to knock him, right? But I'm also not about to crown his ass before he take a snap.
I think he's going to be like James Houston, where we're going to be begging for him to get in. He's going to do good, but they're not going to let him in because he doesn't have one thing they want.
No, for Hassanin, he's tight as a board. He's stiff as a board. But I will, like, watching him off the edge, he has a little bit of bend, like a little bit. But his true ability off the edge is just run defense and then a stunter. So, if there was an award handed out for effort, that dude won it 20 times over, right? like I watched his tape, and every time I watched his tape and I saw the numbers. And I think when I did my preview of players that I wanted, I had them on the list. I said, I don't care about the numbers because to me, the numbers is not the thing. I saw the effort. I saw a guy who at least had a second move. And I saw a guy who was willing to go for it. But overall, I did not see enough for me to say that he's going to take over the starting spot and just be lights out. Is it possible? Yes. Do I see it happening? No. He is literally a carbon copy of Cominsky to me. Like, you get him on the outside, inside, he'll make a play here and there. But in the full-time role, it's not enough.
I mean, Cominsky used to work pretty good with Hutch. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but even when you look at Cominsky, it wasn't consistent enough, and that's why he wasn't a starter, and that's why we kept adding people, because he wasn't consistent enough. And I'm not saying that Hassanin is not going to be exactly like Cominsky. I just saw a guy who had a lot of effort, who would give you any and everything that he could, and I knew for a fact that was going to appeal to the Lions and Brad Holmes. Now, let me try to see if I can get John in one more time. Bingo. There we go.
There
Hey,
it is.
John.
All right.
Crimson, long time, my friend.
Hey,
How you
Brian,
doing?
How you doing?
Wait, I get some feedback. Somebody's phone is giving me some feedback, and I can't make out which one is which.
Hello, hello.
That's you. That's you, John.
All right, let me hop in the car real quick. Hold up.
Yep, that's you. Let me take you back out until we get that fixed. Now, the other part of it is this. When looking at the Lions offseason, if you want to grade the whole offseason and say it was an F, okay. I mean, I ain't gonna argue too much with that. If you're just saying it based on how you feel, okay, that's an emotion. That's how you feel. All right, cool. But if you grading the Lions offseason as a whole, including the draft, and you tell me you got this formula that you're using that makes your opinion objective, that's BS.
I mean, that was just the thing. I mean, like the guy was saying about, it's like us complaining about an edge and whatnot. It's like, look, you had like 2 chances to do this, like one thing.
They had more than 2.
You had a free, yeah. Well, I'm also counting free agency as well. You also had chances there that you didn't take. You had a hell of a lot of chances. You had one hole to fill. You didn't do it. You didn't do it, and no wonder a lot of us are complaining about it.
And one of the things that I think Will was posting it on, I want to say he was posting it on X, or was it Reddit? What the hell what was you posting your breakdowns on? Was that X or Reddit?
Please call it Twitter. I don't like calling it X.
It's so stupid. Yeah, just Twitter. We're going to call it Twitter because that shit is dumb. I agree with you on that. But you were posting your breakdowns on there, right? So I'm looking at the breakdowns and I'm like, okay, And I'm sitting there and I'm just saying to myself, this dude is just 100% all run defender. Like, cool, right? The pass rush ability that he said that he has and stuff like that, I agree with John. Let's see if John ready to come back. I agree with John. We could have got that same ability just to have a guy to be a run stop. You could have got that from Alfred Collins. And like hands down. John.
There we go. That's better. I just
much better. Much better. John, you talk about Alfred Collins and as being another option.
Yep.
You know what? Why do you feel like obviously the pundits feel like that Brad Holmes just could totally like pooped his pants and didn't get nothing right. I don't know how you get to that.
I see. I mean, one, you look at both of them, both similar size, weight, doing the same thing on different teams. Not that PFF means everything, but if you go look at that and some stats, they're very similar. Now, I know a lot of people will also say, well, and like I made the comment before, you didn't see where this guy's hand was placed and that guy's hand was placed because you weren't there. As we both agreed upon, the TV shows we watch, we see. I've been watching since 1995. My uncle, Glenn Kapler. Hi, Uncle Glenn. I know you're watching. Got me into football. I have been watching since I was 9 years old. You can't tell me I don't know. Alfred Collins and him, very much similar. Also, what scares me about the guy we just picked up, does anybody remember Mozzie Smith from a couple years ago? The defensive tackle from Michigan.
Hey, John, I'm gonna tell you right now.
A lot of them.
I'm gonna tell you right now. That's exactly who I thought of when I looked at Talik Williams. It was Mozzie Smith.
I watched some film on him, and I went and I looked up because what was it? Woodward was saying I didn't see this guy's name pop up, and I said something to a coworker. I didn't see his name pop up against Ohio State. And she goes, Ohio State cooked Michigan. I'm like, I didn't hear this guy's name coming up, so I went and I looked up. Who were the top 10 offensive lines? And ironically, Ohio State played Oregon, who was the number 5 O-line. They played them twice. Week 6 when they were both 5-0. And in the Rose Bowl. And there were a couple times where our first round pick got some push. But I saw him having the same thing happen that a lot of nose tackles have happened. And what is the job of a nose tackle? To take a double team. And I saw a lot of that, even one-on-one, getting stopped. And I know people say, but that's what happens. Well, then don't we already have that? And the guy that you're trying to upgrade from and the mistake that you traded up for in Broderick Martin, we already got that double team guy. I've been watching football for a long time. Shout out Glenn Kapler. You are the man. You got me into football. I will love you till the day I die. I wouldn't love football as much if it wasn't for you, man. I just Mozzie Smith 2.0. Come back mid-January.
You know what? I gotta get Will. I gotta get Will on this because Will. I'm not gonna lie. That's exactly who I saw was Mozzie Smith, and I got a homeboy. If I call right now, and he a Cowboy fan, and I said, bro, Mozzie Smith ain't it? He said, man, I'm telling you, I saw this, and I said, you're not hearing me. Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie Smith. He's the last defensive tackle rated on PFF. Granted, PFF ain't nothing, but go look at his stats and all that. He is like 173 out of 173 tackles, defensive tackles. He's dead last. He's a bum.
Worse than Broderick Martin. That's amazing.
I don't even know how that's possible. But Will, you did a breakdown of him. What do you say to our viewpoint that he compares to Mozzie Smith?
Yeah, I completely disagree. Mozzie Smith coming out of college was the definition of boomer bust prospect. He's all here. Hold on, let me shut my door real quick. My dog's going crazy right now.
Wasn't he that athletic freak on that freaks list or whatever? He was like the third best athletic freak for his size and this and that.
He did have a high RAS score.
Well, not just that. It was this guy's freak list. I forget what it's called, but it's this freak list. Like, you're just this freaky athlete for your size and weight, and you do this and this. And there's the videos of Mozzie Smith jumping the steps at Michigan, and it was just
comparison-wise, Tyleik Williams, 6'3", 330 to 334, right? Coming out of college. Mozzie Smith, 6'3" to 326 to 334. Mozzie Smith played 4 seasons, and he had a half a sack, 7 tackles for a loss. Tyleik Williams had 11 total sacks in four seasons with Ohio State and 28 tackles for a loss. So statistically, in that area, he's better. 136 combined tackles to Mozzie Smith's 88 combined tackles. So statistically, he's better than Mozzie Smith. But when I watch him, I remember seeing Mozzie Smith blow up a lot of second-tier, low-tier people, and people getting crazy about it. And a lot of
things I saw from the guy we just drafted were against like schools like Akron and like those first 2-week schools that they've played every year for forever. Anyone can do that against Akron. I can do that against Akron.
He'd say, "Hey, don't disrespect the Mac like that."
Pounds soaking wet.
Man, what was even worse about?
We're not talking about Michigan. We're talking about Akron.
Well, I'm just saying, but Will, what do you? But Will, let's. I'm just asking because you did a full breakdown of him. Would you classify him as a pass rusher, or would you say he's a run defender?
I would primarily put him as a run defender. So back in 2022, that's something I have to watch film on. I have a buddy, a GA I used to work for, who might be working at Michigan this upcoming year. He was talking about Tyleik Williams. He called him a freak and a fantastic pick.
My girlfriend called me a freak. That doesn't mean I'm a freak.
Yeah,
My ex-girlfriend said I should die. Does it mean I should die?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry I'm making you do the face palm, but this is all true facts.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is that when he talked about Tyleik Williams during the 22 season, when he started getting a lot of his reps and all that, he was like 305, 310. He wasn't the 20, 30 pounds heavier than he is now. And in that time frame, in that year, he was actually lose a lot more in the pass. But we've seen Ohio State, they really didn't need more of that. They have a bunch of pass rushers. So they asked him to bulk up. He did it selflessly for the team and got less statistical value in the pass rush.
Okay.
So there is chances that he could slim down. He has really good lateral agility. He's instinctive. He's very strong. Like, he has a chance to, out the gate, day one, be the strongest guy in the Lions. He's that strong.
Okay, where does he rank against other D linemen that are the strongest of the league?
I don't know, but he's strongest on the Lions.
I'll tell you this. and I want to answer this question from Easy Lion Minute. If y'all don't know, he do got a channel, so please make sure y'all show some love and support it. It says, if you have that logic, do you apply that same to Mike Green? When I watch Mike Green, this is the truth. I can care less about the stats. It wasn't the stats that got my attention to Mike Green. You know what it was about Mike Green that got my attention? It was how he was able to use his hands in a variety of ways. Like, you can tell before he pass rushed, he had plan A, B, C, and D already figured out. Oh, if they chip me, I'm gonna do this.
Psychology.
Like he
you know?
Yeah, he rushed the passer with a plan, and he had a counter. He had an ABC counter if you stopped him. And so when I was looking at the other pass rushers, I was like Pierce from Tennessee. Pierce's whole thing was just run around the guy. That's not going to work in the NFL. So I wasn't hyped about him, right? And the guy with the Boston College, who now I'm going to guarantee messed up, even though somebody spelled it for me phonetically. Oruki?
Donovan Ezaraku.
Ezaraku. There we go.
He approached Luke.
Shit, man. I'm sorry.
If you need a name, come to your boy. I got you, Luke.
But listen. I don't even have the front. I'll try to remember it. But damn it, what is it? Ezaraku?
Yeah.
Ezaraku. All right, I got it. Ezaraku. When I watched his tape, you know what I saw? I saw a guy who really, I don't know how he got the numbers he got, because I didn't see much. There was no plan A or plan B in his pass rush. There was no super counter or anything like that. There was no, there was no plan. He was just playing to be playing. And I wasn't impressed with that. When I looked at other people in the draft, like Landon Jackson, at least with him, I saw a counter, right? So I'm looking at moves and how you're getting to him, and that's what I was looking at. What's going on, Rumble?
We could have got when we traded up for the wide receiver. He got taken 2 spots later.
Wasn't Gilbert still on the board as well?
Gilbert?
Who's Gilbert?
Gilbert.
Louisville.
Oh, you talking about
Gelato?
Gelate?
Yeah, Gelate.
Ashton Gelate, yeah.
Wow,
yeah, he was on the board too. He's one of them guys that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I like his game a lot.
But we don't need him or Campbell because we got guys like Barnes and Rodrigo. And they're going to be much better than Campbell, both of them.
Yeah, I'm not a Jack Campbell fan, but hey, what can I say?
No, I'm talking about Jahad Campbell.
Jahad Campbell
and Rodrigo are going to be way better individually.
Jahad Campbell to me would have been a lights out pick, because those mobile quarterbacks would have been getting hit.
Are better.
They would have been getting hit, man. I'm serious.
And we don't need an edge rusher because Marcus Davenport, and we're going to re-sign, what's his name to come back. We don't need
Darius Smith.
Well, his girlfriend said he's coming back, but I do want to address this before we get out of here, because we get it.
But man, your girl, oh my God.
Hey, but I do want to
a bunch of stuff.
I do want to get on this topic really quick before we get out of here, because essentially, like I said, the purpose of this video was to defend Brad Holmes, and this is one of the things that I was willing to do, because at the very least, he did address the needs, and so I can't kill him for getting the needs. You need a guard, you needed a D tackle. Which, again, for me, I purposely don't. In my opinion, I don't believe that we necessarily needed a D tackle. We could have got one in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. But you needed an edge rusher. You got one in the 6th. You needed a backup safety. You got one of those. I don't know if we needed a receiver. I don't buy that one bit. We needed a linebacker. We didn't get one of those. And to come out with, like I said, with 4 of those things, cool. But let's not make like this is not a subjective view. That it's objective, because you came up with this weird formula that does not apply, because you don't know what they draft board was. You don't, just because you had these people ranked high don't mean nothing. Some people had, according to the Jets' former GM, they were going to draft Jahmyr Gibbs at 15. And they asked him, did you think that the Lions knew you were going to do this? He said, if they did, they must have, because that they immediately took him at 12. We just knew he wasn't going until like the late 20s. And I know that the Cowboys also said that they were planning on him to drop and that they were going to get him too. So those were things that, you know, were actually said from people who were in the draft rooms and stuff. But they rated those moves low. And I kept telling everybody that year, we need a running back in the first. If you're not taking Jalen Carter, because the only thing you can take is Jalen Carter. And if you're not taking Jalen Carter, the only thing you can take that gives you an instant starter and impact is running back. And it's because if you really look at how Brad Holmes draft, it's best player available for need.
That makes me wonder what the heck the Eagles did. The Eagles, were they going to trade up and get Tyreek Williams because they wanted to trade up? Is that why?
No. They wanted Campbell. They were afraid that the Lions were going to take Campbell. It was an interview I saw where their GM said,
clearly other GMs think Brad Holmes is smart and going to pick the right player.
Right.
Clearly, they're just as dumb as we are.
You know, so, but again,
we're going to take Tyreek Williams 2 picks later.
Huh?
Tyreek Williams, I don't know why everyone, I heard a lot of media say that he wasn't mocked in the first and that he was always a second round guy, except I have no clue what they were talking about. I went to Bill's Twitter because I talked to a bunch of Bills fans. They said, yeah, the overwhelming pick for them was Tyreek Williams. So,
oh yeah, so the Bills had definitely came out and said that they were going to take him. But the reason why it made more sense for the Bills and not the Lions is because the Bills already have their pass rushers.
True.
Like go over there and look right now.
Joey Bosa, God bless his heart.
You say who?
In a sickly Joey Bosa, God bless his heart.
But here's the thing though, you gotta keep in mind. They went out and said, hey, let's get listen, who would you rather have, Bosa or Marcus Davenport? I would easily take Bosa over Davenport.
I actually was watching all the top edge rushers. Bosa dropped off significantly this year.
He did, but guess what? Would you rather have the guy who's going to get you 8 games or the guy who's going to get you 2 or 4? Because Bosa's going to be more. He's going to be more available.
You look at their stats. I'm pretty sure Bosa.
We're talking Joey
this year than Davenport.
Yeah, we're talking Joey.
But Joey going to get hurt too. Like they're
but here's the thing though.
Hurt just as bad.
Here's the thing. Joey may get hurt, right? I'm not even trying to be funny. Joey may get hurt. I'll be the first one to tell you that, hey, you could be spot on with that. But here's what Joey Bosa is not. Okay? Here's what he is not. Joey Bosa is not a guy who's only played 4 games in the last 2 seasons. That's what he's not. What Joey Bosa is not is a guy who has not ever played a full season in his whole career. Joey Bosa has had double-digit sacks, from my count, at least 4 separate times. Might be more than that, right? And yes, it has been significant drop-off with the injuries and things like that, which I totally understand. But the difference is when you get to comparing him to a guy like Marcus Davenport, there's no debate. Because even with Marcus Davenport, we know for a fact Marcus Davenport is definitely got injury issues. This is why he took such a cap-friendly deal to prove himself. And what they're going to do is they're going to use him in situational football. So essentially on passing downs, they'll bring him in. But here's the thing. Marcus Davenport has never had a double-digit sack season ever. He's never had a double-digit tackles for a loss, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at his quarterback hits in comparison to Bosa's quarterback hits, it's not even like comparable. So they got him. They got Greg Russo, and they got Oliver who can go inside, outside. They got that other dude. I'm trying to think of his fucking name. If it come to me in a minute. But them adding it makes more sense. Just putting it out there. It says, I think Davenport is supposed to get 5 to 8 opposite Hutch throughout a season. Aleem is healthy. We'll be getting 8 to 10. DJ gets 3 to 5. Backups get 5. Hutch gets 20 plus. I don't know if I like that approach, but I get what you're saying.
Depends on what the defensive coordinator wants to do.
You know what I'm saying? Like Davenport to me, if he got 5 sacks, I would be surprised because that would have meant he stayed healthy past 4 games. And the only way I believe he can do that if he's on the bench.
I will say about Hutch's injury, if you look at our before he got hurt and after, before he got hurt, we had 19 sacks in the first 5 games, which is fantastic. In 5 games, you're almost getting 4 a game, elite numbers. The issue is after that, we had like 22 sacks the rest of the season. So our everything we do is kind of built around Hutch, and then them having to worry about Hutch long enough for other people to get home. So Hutch.
But here's a scarier fact for you. Aiden Hutchinson played in what? How many games? 6, 7?
I think it was the Atlanta game he got injured in.
6. No, it was the Cowboys.
It was the Cowgirls.
The next closest line, 3.5 sacks off.
Yeah, that was a Darius Smith.
Nobody else came close to his sack total, and they played more games than him. So what does that tell you?
Can I guess who the next guy up is? Was it Muhammad?
At the Za'Darius? No, it was Aleem McNeil who was hurt.
I was talking just edges, but damn.
Yeah, it was Aleem McNeil who came after freaking Za'Darius. But again, I'm just putting it out there to show people that hey, we definitely need the help there. We're going to see how the season play out. You have the 3rd hardest schedule going into this. It's a first place schedule. The schedule release comes out May 14th, right? So we'll see when we play. I'm gonna tell you right now, if we play the Ravens week 1, you mark it down for me as a win. If you play the Ravens week 10, it's a loss. It's a loss. If you play Kansas City week 1, mark it down for me as a win. You play Kansas City week 7 or 8, it's a loss. When we go up against the Eagles and all these other people with these mobile quarterbacks, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. And when we go against the Bears twice a year, the Packers twice a year, the Vikings twice a year, we're going to find out just how important that extra pass rusher would have been.
Now, I don't know. When it comes to our division, yeah, the Packers we know are going to be good. They're pretty set. But when it comes to like the Bears or the Vikings, we don't know what they're going to be really. I mean, the Bears look good on paper. We'll see what Ben Johnson does. For all we know, that could flub itself up. We've seen that a million times before.
Yep.
And we don't know what the Vikings are going to look like with JJ, or if JJ busts, you might have Danny Dimes be the QB of the Vikings, and that'd be hilarious.
Again, it's just one of them things. We've been on for an hour and 54 minutes. My plan is to go live tomorrow. I'm pretty sure my job shouldn't be able to hold me over tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Pray for me. But in the event that they do, I'll adjust and just try to push it for that Wednesday. That's going to be the game plan. Okay. Now let me do this. I want to let you gentlemen get your final thoughts in. Crimson, give the people your final thoughts for the day.
Look, either way about this draft, I may have hated this draft. I was never going to give this an F just because I don't know what these players are going to look like a couple years from now. Just grading it from now is just a foolish aspect. And besides, like Ed said, we needed the guards. We need to protect our statue.
Hey, that was Mars. That was Mars. Mars say, man, you got to protect that trash ass quarterback. Mars wasn't bullying. Mars say you gotta get everything in your power to keep that quarterback safe, because if you don't, it's all bad. Hey, so that was Mars. Shout out to Mars, baby. Will, what's your final thoughts for the people?
Hey, remember that it's more than just this draft. We have an extraordinarily young team. The 2023 draft class already has 3 Pro Bowlers. They're coming into their 3rd season, which is usually a large league. So we could see some huge potential there, as well as we have Arnold coming into year 2, which I'm really hype about. I really like corner play, so I'm really excited to see how he improves. I want to see how they all mesh together, and I just can't wait for Lions football to start up, man.
Yeah, it's rough, man. What's going on, Dark Twerk? It says, got here late. What we talking about tonight? Me defending Brad Holmes, which Will swear to God, I'm just negative of Brad Holmes. When I've had the same criticism of Brad Holmes from day one, it has never changed. It has never changed, which is you do not have the same aggression when it comes to approaching the defense that you have with the offense. The offense always gets the love and the attention and the direction that it needs. So the defense gets scraps. And this is one of the reasons why I have been one of the biggest defenders of Aaron Glenn, and why I think that many of you are going to line yourselves into the conversations of blaming Shep when you realize that the defense is not going to do what you think it is. Right? Like it's some context to it, but it's a lot more like, let's be honest about what's going on at the same time. So that's just me putting it out there. You know.
Now, to be fair, I'm a defensive coach, so I'm always going to blame the defense for not winning us the game. That's just me at heart.
But you can't blame the defense for not winning the game against the Commanders. That was all effort by the offense. Just saying.
38 points if you don't count the because the pick six wasn't their.
No, but it was bigger than that pick six, because every turnover he had, they scored on. They scored on his fumble. They scored on the one interception that didn't go for a touchdown. Like that's a 21-point swing right there.
But those turnovers did not get them favorable field positioning. I actually looked this up a while back. I don't think they started past the 35-yard line. Which, if you're thinking turnovers, I'm thinking like the power of a turnover is having the ball in favorable field position for your offense to go score.
No, not necessarily, because if you think about it, right, if you look at it from a defensive-minded perspective, right, the turnover is not always having favorable position. It's about putting your other team out there to put pressure on the other team to have to make the play. So if you look at it, that's why some people like the idea of taking the ball first, because it makes the other team chase them if they can score first. And some people like me rather kick the ball off, because I want to set the tone knowing that my team's going to score after we stop you, and now you got to chase me. So it's just a matter of like how you approach it. I just don't know if I would say that it has to be favorable field position. When the Lions fumbled the ball away, we were getting ready to go and score I think we had just had, it was 14-17 when he fumbled, and they went down to score, making it 17. And then he threw an interception when we was coming down with the score being 17-14, which that one went for a touchdown, making it 24-14. So that right there is 14-point swing in and of itself. Then he comes out and score another touchdown. You're like, okay, he scored a touchdown, so it's 21-24. They come down and score, and then what does he do? He throws another interception, which they then go back down and score again with a pass to the tight end, making it 31-21 or 28 or something like that before half. So the turnover thing, I get what you're saying, but the turnover itself just needs to stop the offense from putting points on the board. That's it.
It's I don't know. Even when I'm coaching in the high school ranks, defense wins you championships, it wins you games. I had my boys rocking so hard that we won a game 14-8, and all 14 points were 2 pick sixes. So
Yeah, and again, the pick six, the turnovers that lead to points are huge plays. That's a huge negative play. But a turnover, a forced fumble, hell, even the Lions, when they got that 4th down stop, that was a huge turnover. Right? That was a huge turnover. So I get it. But yeah, I want you to give your final thoughts, and then I'm gonna give my final thoughts of the day because I got a good one. And then we try to do this thing again tomorrow.
All right, yeah. Enjoy the night, everyone. It's always fun talking football. I like the saying, if my biggest stress in life is the Detroit Lions, it means I'm living a good life right now.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I forgot who that was that posted it that said that if they hate what Brad Holmes doing, then good, we're going to the Super Bowl. I get it. I get it. Today's positive quote, people, comes from Conor McGregor. Didn't expect him to be the one I was going to get this from, but I thought this was brilliant. He says, your lack of commitment is an insult to the people who believe in you. Your lack of commitment is an insult to the people who believe in you. Now, I'm guilty of this myself, people. Let me just tell you, I have some people who believe in me, and sometimes my commitment is not as strong as it should be. And it's a shame because I do love what I do. I do love talking sports. I do love being a husband, being a father, but my commitment sometimes is not what it needs to be. And it got me to thinking. When I saw this quote, it said to myself, if you're not committed to getting the best results, then you are insulting the people who believed in you. There were some people who made some investments in me when I was just a young guy trying to play football and have some fun and get it to pay for college. And guess what I found out? All of those people who had that faith in me, I returned it in kind by making sure that not only did I go through and play that ball, get those grades, graduate, but I made sure I finished at school. Some of y'all ain't committed enough to the people who has given you everything, from their fibers of their emotional support to their spirits to all of the best parts of them, because they see in you what they cannot possibly do. And you are insulting them because you are not committed enough to get the result. There was somebody that put up to you a couple of days ago and was just all smitten with the idea of you wanting to get in shape. And what you decided to do was say, you know what, I don't feel like it. This hurts or whatever else hurts. And you decided to go and get a pizza instead of eating a damn salad. Some of y'all ain't committed enough. Some of y'all got with some people who was literally out there simply just saying, you know what, I want you for who you are. Just be committed to me. And y'all can't do that. You see, when the commitment is not met with the same energy that is being given to you to push you to the point of your greatness, you're going to inevitably fail. You're going to find yourself in the same rat race, in the same position that you have always been in. You need to find a way to make your commitment match those people who's giving you energy that they really don't have to give. You remember the scene in Dragon Ball where it took like 8 episodes for him to make one spirit bomb? If any of y'all know anything about animes and you ever seen a Dragon Ball episode, you know it took down there 8 episodes for him to make one spirit bomb. One freaking spirit bomb took that long. But you know what he did? He didn't waste all that energy. He didn't take the time to play around with it and then decide that it's useless. He said, give me it all. I need all of it so I can do what I need to do to get to the highest level to beat Frieza. I'm just asking y'all to find some kind of way to take that energy that's being given to y'all and make that spirit bomb and give what is necessary to the people who is giving you all the energy that they can give. So that way your commitment matches the energy of those who are with you. Man, that was some deep shit right there. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. The goal is to be back at this tomorrow to knock this out and to talk about some more stuff. My goal is I'm trying to make sure I don't get my channel shut down, and I'm trying to figure out how to get around this because YouTube has cracked down on us showing videos, and it has been horrifying. So I have to figure out how I'm going to achieve that and show some things that I really want to point out and what I'm looking at when I evaluate a player. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, and if you don't do nothing else at all, and I mean nothing else at all, remember these wise words. Don't be no chump. Please do your research. We out.